Hey, first of all, thanks for joining us and doing this podcast thing that we're trying out. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to any of the previous ones we've released, but we're sort of really trying to branch out. It's really just about looking at the world of online learning and the world of learning in general, and the various touch points that it has in kind of all areas of life, what people's experiences are with it. So that's generally our goal. And the reason that we're interested in talking to you both is I think you had an incredible success with the programs that has been running. I think everyone was a little wowed. I think I looked at the comment numbers the other day, and in a course of, there's a group of like 20 learners or something, and there's like 500 comments or something, which is huge. Especially if you look at the time frame. So, first of all, congratulations to you both on doing that, and congratulations to the learners being so engaged.
Thank you. I think we were like equally surprised how well it turned out to work. Eventually, we weren't really, obviously it was also for us. It was the first time implementing a full online component in our training program, so it was a happy surprise for us as well.
Great. But yeah, let's start off at the beginning. What is FCA, and why are learning and education important to your mission?
Yeah, so FCA in general is FCA stands for Finchurch Aid. It was started after Second World War in Finland to receive development aid. So this is actually the backstory of FCA. It was established to receive development aid from outside to Finland, because obviously we were fighting Soviet Union, and then also the Germans or the Nazis burned half of Finland. So we needed a lot of help back then. So then, over the course of decades, now the tables have turned, and then Finchurch Aid is an actor providing development aid or cooperation. Yeah. So so that's backstory. But Finchurch Aid is working in about 14 countries, and we focus on 3 thematic pillars, which are right to quality education, right to livelihoods, and right to peace. So those themes are the key for FCA, and our work revolves around those. Education obviously is very important. There's a global learning crisis going on, and there are a lot of gaps to fill wherever you look, especially in the emerging context, like Kenya. Things are substantially well in many areas, but then there are regions especially in the refugee communities and areas that suffer from drought. There's a lot, like massive need for education, from school building to training of teachers and everything. So education is definitely one of the key things for FCA.
Cool. How did you hook up with Peter?
Yeah, so pretty much like FCA has been concentrating on more traditional elements of education and livelihoods for a long time, and my job in the organization has been to in a way look at more up-to-date ways to provide skills training, education, and livelihoods in the kind of under the umbrella of digitalization. So for that reason, I started a training program on creative industries, especially the digital creative industries, 3 years ago. We piloted in Uganda, and finally last year we started implementing also in Kenya. And Peter is actually one of our first trainers in the program. He was already part of the first. We started with this like basic digital skills program, and Peter was a trainer there. And when we then went on to more advanced skills, digital skills under creative industries, then I decided that I definitely want to keep Peter in any way. So Peter has been with us ever since, and he's a really the core pillar of the whole program's success.
That's great praise. How does that feel, Peter?
I feel good. Working with Ville has been like a dream come true.
Okay.
We know this kind of chaotic workplace. Ville is kind of a manager who lets you grow holistically, let you share the idea that you believe will work, and now you feel that you are part of a project. You own it. Yeah.
Nice. Peter, did you let's say when you first did this soft skill training, did you see yourself like following this path and being, I guess we should maybe start with what you're actually doing on the ground, but did you see this as a future that you would end up in?
Okay. I'll give a bit of my background. I come from a family where they believe that the only best careers in the world is being a teacher. So for me
Good
now
family.
being yeah, for me now being a teenager, we get these things that you want to go your own path. So instead of like doing education in university, I went for an IT course. I'm a software engineer by profession. But then still I had that thing calling me. You know what, Peter? You will one day end being a teacher or a trainer doing such stuffs. So I first of all did the training in primary schools. That's to the young ones. Then I have done part in high school. And then I came now I joined Mondo Digital Competencies Program as a lead trainer. By then, still the dream had not clicked in. I had the fear of how will I manage youths, with what FCA is doing. We train from 18 to 35 years. So I was even imagining some people are older than me. How will I convince them? Like I can teach them. We have come from the country itself. Kenya is quite has a big background in traditions. Like we respect the elders. A young one can't tell me what to do as an elder. You see all these things, but the bias is keeping on going out. Apart from that, I've done a lot of online training. I've done training with Google, Cisco Networking Academy. And I was imagining what other people are missing, because you see, like something like Craned was unheard of. And you find that those kind of advanced learning systems, they are very advanced such that they need a lot of training for one to catch up and start doing things independently. And now here I find Ville who comes up with an idea. Peter, I want us to do blended kind of running. We'll be having technical classes, which will be physical, like a trainer must come, like the traditional way. And then we'll be having Craned. And then I was like, wow, what I've just been aspiring and like dreaming. One day I can see that my fellow countrymen running is now here with Ville. So the first thing was, yes, even I didn't like want to know whether it was a running curve or nothing. It was just a yes. And then now I was inducted. Ville did a very good training. And now we started hitting the ground. Yeah, that's how I would say. And I'm now more prepared to be in this forever. I feel like every day I wake up, I come to change lives. That's how I call it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting as well that like somehow you did end up at this sort of blend of the two things that you mentioned. You're involving technology and technical kind of things, and this human teacher sort of side. So it's funny how things work out. Had you ever done, was the blended learning thing like you seemed quite excited about that. So was that like new for you, like this idea of doing this hybrid face-to-face digital?
Yeah, from my side, initially for the last around 19 or 18 years, I've done the traditional mode of running.
Yeah.
For the kind of breaded, I'd say I was really emerged in it 7 years ago. Why I liked the breaded, sometimes you might find a lecturer coming in class or a trainer, he or she teaches and leaves. Getting access to that lecturer again becomes very difficult. But now, if you have some materials online, you can go back. Like, let's say that you have a video online on Planet and you want to rewatch it again. That's possible. But if you go to a trainer, he might not repeat the same words like what he did the first thing. So you might go like you wanted to understand a concept, but now you get out of that place being more confused. With Planet, the materials are static. The other thing, it was about the convenience with time. If I feel like to do it in the morning, I can do it. If I feel to do it in the afternoon, the same works. Now with a physical trainer coming, I found it a bit challenging. You find that my schedule and his schedule may not rhyme, so one has to compromise. But now when the equation of Planet came, I found it like it was cutting across. It's all about the student and even sometimes the trainer's availability to conduct it.
Yeah. How do you feel the learners respond to it? I mean, you've seen learners and been a learner in multiple situations like this. Do you feel that their experience with like a blended model of learning is they appreciate it, they find it it's obviously more convenient in some cases, but do you think it becomes more effective?
Yeah, what
I,
I've seen, if I may start, yeah, because I have a background in teaching as well, so that was my profession before my so to speak international career. So I have a lot of experience from different kind of classrooms, and this was also a first time for me to do this kind of online learning at this scale. So what I learned and what was the most remarkable thing for me was that how that kind of democratizes the learning for to use cliches, the extroverts and the introverts, those people who may want to think about their answer for a few more moments when the extroverts are already there kind of waving their hands and ready to answer. So I think we were able to better integrate those learners into the communication, because obviously that's where the learning happens, when you start kind of processing what other people are saying and kind of reflecting those ideas to your ideas, and then you really start using your own brain. So I think that was the most remarkable thing to realize, that now we have full class participating, not just those 5 that have the courage and have that kind of personality to stand out. So I think that's definitely something to highlight. But also I was surprised that even those students who came to the program with pretty much zero skills, they were still able to participate. Well, Peter will know the details, and he can speak to the details, but they were able to really engage with the material quite quickly, and the Planet platform, which was surprising to me. And I think oftentimes and also with this Peter can confirm, but the kind of magic word was to kind of compare or make the students think that Planet resembles like a social media platform. Like, this is how it works. Like, just keep on using it as you would use your Facebook or Instagram, and I think that somehow opened many learners' eyes, and they kind of got it. Like, this is how it works. That we are in this together, and we are learning from each other. And then the kind of role for the facilitator is just to direct the conversations in the right direction and encourage and stuff like that. So I would highlight those things. Peter,
Cool.
do you have more detailed opinion on this?
Yes. To add on what Ville has just said is that with the online learning, there's a certain comparison that you have always been making. Like imagine today we have 25 students in class. Out of the 25 students, we get 100 comments from each student. This equates to, like, let's say 100 questions from every student. In a normal traditional classroom setup, that would be impossible. We can't even imagine a teacher answering even more than, let's say, 30 questions in a day when he is as well training. But now with Craned, something new came up that a student could express themselves. There's even another feature that we found there. You can ask a question anonymously. Let's say that you don't want other students to see you like ignorant or stupid in a way. You can ask any question and the question will be answered. The next thing is that with the online learning, it brought new kind of perspective to the student that most of them, we do training to students who comes from informal settlements, slums and semi-slum areas. These students have never been inducted to online learning. There's a new kind of perspective change where now the students are realizing that apart from going online in social media and just chatting, you can now use online platforms to gain knowledge. Yeah, that's how it summarize the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, the success, first of all, that's been had just by this little sort of like hint at hey, this is kind of like the way you'd use Facebook or some other social media platform, and that really seemed to resonate and have this overwhelmingly positive effect on the learners. And at the same time, in just in general media, the news is constantly full of stories about like the dangers and perils of social media. And certainly there's absolutely something to be said for that. Not to ignore that, but it's really interesting that there's actually not a lot of talk about what we can actually gain that's very beneficial from this. There are some, I mean, the way people engage, the ability to be anonymous, the ability to crowdsource ideas and answers. So yeah, I'm happy to see it because I think it's not such a black and white issue. Social media, positive or negative. There are good things, and this is this program is an example of how we can take that approach and attitude and get something really positive out of it. Actually, maybe just on that positive note, I wanted to ask you, Peter, if you've seen what kind of changes you've seen in participants, because you mentioned that some of them are coming from very informal settings or have like low education background or from a slum. So through their participation in the program, through their experience of becoming educated, have you seen what sort of changes have you seen? Are they developing further? Is this I'm sure it's been overwhelmingly positive, but I'm just sort of curious if there are anecdotes or inspirations that you've noticed through the course of this.
Yeah, I have noticed quite a couple of things. One, teamwork and collaboration. We divide the work on Craned to both. We have it a part of we have some parts where students work individually, and another part where now they have to come together and do some kind of focused group discussions, try to brainstorm and any task given. So the first thing is that collaboration has improved teamwork. The other thing is on communication. Last year we were giving student tasks where they could upload their work on Craned, and that work would later be reviewed by their peers and as well as the trainers. So you find that their communication aspect has been improved. The other thing I would say is their IT skill, like coming up, creating folders, adding content into those folders, uploading those folders, deleting and such. The other thing is that I would say with Craned, the student kind of the negativity with the social media, as you have said earlier, has changed. They have realized that we can use social media for positive change. Like in our country, sometimes, like we had demos some times ago, you find that the main thing that trigger those demonstrations or where mobilization takes is in the social media. But now here with Craned, we are coming with another perspective that we can use now social media for positive good. Another thing that I found with our student is their confidence. Their confidence has really increased in doing online learning. And even although Craned has even accommodated introverts, I found that when now these introverts do a lot of chatting and they start now communicating with other team members through chats, you find that at the end of the program now they have the courage now to get out of that introvert personality to being a bit extrovert. Now they can even stand in front of the class. Like when they are doing group discussions, we usually have presentations. So I'll say that holistically, our students have improved in many areas. And even in terms of perspectives, like I had a student coming to me and asking me, teacher, how can we like now do code? We code our own system, a Craned for Africa, like now a system developed in Kenya. So I'd say that they are feeling like there is that need, and now they are like ready to tackle that challenge. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. I mean, I think I can probably speak from at least my perspective of what I've seen, and that part of the success of this program, and maybe we should delve into what the actual program is in a moment, but it's a combination of the people, you guys who have set it up, and the way you've set it up. So it's a combination of the structure and obviously the program itself. Like there's something of value in there. So maybe you can talk a bit about what specifically the programs you're offering are, and what you've learned from implementing them.
Yeah, sure. So as mentioned, we started last year, 2022, in February, with this program in Kenya. We already ran something else in Uganda, but this is kind of the main project under this Creative Industries program. So last year we trained in animation, graphic design, web design, game development, and digital marketing. So what kind of is common to all of this is that they are different creative industry skills, and all of them are digital creative industry skills. Understanding that potentially if you get to a good enough level, your job market is global. So this has always been one of the leading visions for us, that these trainings and these professions enable kind of global reach in the job market. We started last year with short programs. We trained about like combining the work-life skills and entrepreneurship component and the actual technical training, about 9 weeks. And then for animation and digital marketing, we had longer courses up to about 3 months. And what we already learned last year is that this is really kind of program technical thing, but it's not enough in terms of length. We need to increase the length of a training program. There are always those few who will pick up fast, and they'll get to a level where they can already be close to some kind of junior level position, entry level positions or so. But for the masses, it's still it's too short time. So this year, based on that learning, we've increased to 6 months, and that 6 months includes also something we call CI Hub, which is this kind of a component where we ask companies in Kenya to provide us with example projects from work life, and then our students will work on those projects and kind of validate their skills in this way and build that trust between the graduates and the employers. So So that's also something that we've learned, that we need to invest in that kind of last mile thing, how the youth actually get employed. So that's kind of the area. We feel that our curriculum is quite right, and the program in many ways is really high quality, but that last mile is something that we are really working on this year. And concurrently we run work life skills and entrepreneurship and work life skills component on Planet. This happens every Friday, so that's kind of following throughout the technical training.
Right.
So that's pretty much our program, and we had to drop game development for this year, so we're just training web design, graphic design, animation, and digital marketing.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that last mile is always, I think really in any training anywhere in the world, this is always the thing that is the tough challenge, and you see a lot of these kinds of things that are like anywhere from 3 months to 6 months, and then it's that linking. Like, I know there's what is the one here that's quite popular? I don't know, the name is slipping my mind, but it's run out of Helsinki.
The coding thing.
There's coding school, and then there's another one. I don't know why it's just slipped my mind. But it's essentially that it's training, and then they I think towards the end of it they work as a professional organization to make professional contacts as well, and sort of the last thing is arranging at the very least like interviews, or the possibility for participants to interview, and then either intern at a company or intern to a to something turns into a job position.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
But please go ahead. You
I was just trying to get a clear picture of your last month, since this is what you said you sort of learned, and the direction it needs to go. Is that kind of the idea that you're working towards?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there is also things like portfolios that our students are building throughout the training program, and obviously they also identify job opportunities, be it employment or small freelance gigs in their neighborhoods for local stores and shops and whatnot. So that's what we kind of encourage to do throughout the training. But then the kind of official bit is that, first of all, of course, as many as possible, we try to link up with internships, but it's not always easy. And here in Kenya, oftentimes, if you want to involve a company, they might require some compensation for taking the intern.
Right.
And at least us, we're still running on such small budget that we cannot afford these kind of things. So so for those who can, we organize the internships, but for those who can't, we've already identified partner organizations, like companies, who are willing to kind of give us these like real work-life mimicking projects that our students then will work on in this hub component, which is the last month of the training program. And that's where they can work with the projects with the help of mentors that kind of look at the quality and do a bit of that quality control in a way, and help our students also understand that what's required if you really want to get up to
do
that
this
level.
as your as your career.
But it's really it's about building that trust between the training institution and the employers, and at every kind of stage of the program, you have to take into consideration this link to, especially, I know we do it in Finland, we do it really well. The private sector is really part of the vocational education and skills training and all that, but in many places around the world, the thing is that vocational and skills training is somewhere here, and then the employers are somewhere there, and they don't really communicate, and then they don't talk. So then the image and the kind of reputation of vocational education is at risk, and it's not really attractive to many youth if it doesn't lead anywhere. So that's what we try to break, and that's what we try to do better. And I know that there are also some initiatives in Kenya on a kind of government level to improve that, which is great. But yeah, we definitely are working on that as well as a program.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to try to export, would be the this relationship between training and professional institutions. I was actually just wondering, because you mentioned there are some hurdles in place, at least in Kenya, with linking this up, financial ones mostly. Since you're training people for jobs that are largely reliant on internet connectivity and can be remote, and you've said your market can be the globe. Are there is there any plans or any thoughts about bringing the learners into a wider community, a global community, or finding them sort of remote internships or opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that we are looking into as well. We FCA has actually hired a person who was specialized especially in that field. So that's definitely one of the next steps, that we will be also looking at remote internship opportunities. Yeah, but so far we've been focusing in Kenya, and then also linking up our students to different professional communities within Kenya, where they find out about the job opportunities, and they can do a bit of networking, because that's also one kind of structural barrier that especially our students face, since they are coming from marginalized or more humble backgrounds, is that they don't know anyone who can be an employee, their potential employer in the creative industries. They are not kind of in their reach. So that's also something that we can do here in our program to create those linkages, organize events where they can showcase, like these job fairs where they can showcase their work, and just walk them to the doorstep. They if they want to get in, they have to
they have to knock,
do it themselves.
Yeah,
they have to knock and all that. And yeah, obviously, yeah, livelihood programming, like successful livelihood programming, is super difficult in general, especially when you deal with more marginalized communities. But when you go to digital livelihoods, as we are doing, it's even more difficult, because then there's also that barrier to access to internet, access to devices. So in a way, we have to take into account all these different structural barriers that our students may face. Yeah. Peter, would you have something else to add on this?
I think you have almost exhausted them, but we have two main things that I'll just insist. We have a big challenge as a country in terms of securing quality network. It is out of reach to the common man, common population. The other thing is about gadgets. As we have said, we are from informal settlements. This is a place whereby you find even smuggling and stealing is very rampant. Like for us to set our site where we are, we had to consider a lot of security. We had a lot of security concerns. So it's a question of even the student themselves. If a student have to afford this gadget, they even have not to shift from their neighborhoods, because their life might be at risk just by being seen walking with a laptop across the road. The other thing is like the internet, like you find like to have an affordable 4G internet, you might find that a student per month, the cheapest they can do, let's say is a house Wi-Fi network, is around $100, which is out of reach to many people. Yeah, network is very
It'd be
expensive here.
it'd be out of reach here in Finland for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It is very expensive.
Why is that? Like, do you have any
think-
insight? Why is it? It's the technology's not that expensive. Is this
Yeah,
exploitation?
actually,
Is it?
As we have been speaking, and we believe Kenya is a hub to the East Africa in terms of technology advancement. But now you find that there is an element of monopoly. Like you find a company like Safaricom who has been there for years. We have that kind of mindset that they give the best internet, and now for them now they know they have already market. So what they have done, they have hyped the prices. The other companies who have, like, say, a cheaper network is very unreliable. So let's say you have a student who is even living earning less than $2 in a day, and here now you are telling them to subscribe to a Wi-Fi network that is $100 per month. So there's a lot of conflict in that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to add on that, I just had a discussion with my Kenyan friend who gave me like really interesting insight into this aspect. Just as Peter described, that when a white man comes to Africa and identifies challenges, we often fail to realize that there's a challenge because it's in someone's interest not to solve that challenge. And I think these networks are a pretty good example of that topic. Like, I think it could be fixed, but it's in someone's interest not to do it, because then
Sounds
there's
pretty
the profit
profitable.
for that who's holding the monopoly. So
Oh.
so yeah, that's definitely a barrier that's not nice. But even though this is the case, the data prices are still coming down, like little by little, not as fast as probably somewhere else in the world. But I think that's still the kind of direction we are heading also on this continent. And then there's going to be new technologies with 5G, and I think it's with my little technical understanding, it's a different kind of technology to the previous ones. And then who knows, with the new opportunities, also this challenge can be tackled.
What about Starlink? Are people excited about Starlink, the Musk's internet from space?
Yeah,
because I know it's been deployed a lot of places where there, like, for example, there just aren't networks. And this is one of the, I know that this is one of the sort of like good works channel they do, is trying to bring internet to places that either have very limited access or no access.
Yeah, I don't know how active they are in African continent. I know OneWeb, which is pretty much similar solution, but I think it's owned by UK government and French government jointly, and then there are some other investors. They are aiming to establish themselves in Africa. I've actually been in talks with them through my other project I do for this different organization. So I think that's now coming as well. So that may be one part of the solution in the long run. I don't know like how quickly they can roll out their operation here, but I know that's going to happen in the coming months/years for sure.
Nice. I think we've covered a lot of things here, but maybe a question for the both of you, and we've sort of danced around the topic, but it's like, how does the collaboration work, sort of like between on the ground and in the classroom, like between the admin oversight that's happening here in Finland and Peter, your oversight and role there? Like, what's the because it's quite an interesting setup when you think you've got this sort of this network of multiple sort of actors and people involved at various elements. So how does that, like, what for you personally are the most important like areas of communication, and how does that work, and how do you two collaborate, or you know?
You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you did mention a keyword for this. This is which is communication, and we, especially in the beginning. Look, obviously now I'm based in Kenya, so our it's not so much anymore like doing something in Finland and admin stuff, and then something different here on ground. We are all now, the whole team is in Kenya.
Oh, I didn't know you'd moved.
Yeah, I'm based here now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, cool. But if we speak about last year, when I was personally more hands-on, like doing the admin stuff and facilitation and all these things. So there was a lot of communication, and we tried to keep the feedback loop really kind of, I say, short. Is that like frequent? And we are just really lucky to have Peter and also the other trainers who've been really committed to give us that feedback, that honest feedback, like what's working, what's not, which was especially important in the beginning when we struggled with a lot of like infrastructural issues such as internet connectivity. We went all the way to the deep end of building reliable internet infrastructure in our training center, because in the area where we are located physically, there's no fiber connection. But then there's a road, and then there's another area called Buruburu, and Buruburu has fiber. So what we needed to do is basically to dig
lay a cable,
draw lay a cable from other side of the road to our school.
How far away was that? How many K of cable?
And it was just 15 meters, but yeah, it's just 15 meters, but there's a road in between. So we had
still massive, yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So it was a lot of work, and we invested in that, but I think it was worth it for sure, because after that things have been much better. And if you want to learn online, you need a really good internet connection. That's something that you need. No, I think I lost your original question. That was
it was about how you managed to collaborate and communicate. You were talking about last definitely. Year, but now you're based centrally.
Yeah. Obviously now we are here, and Peter has pretty much 95% of the responsibility to lead the online training part of things. I'm just giving a thumbs up every now and then. And Jenny been part of the program as well. She designed the course though, like with our recommendations and support. She was the one who designed it, but the actual implementation now is with Peter. And Peter has also trained our interns to support with the facilitation and comments and feedback and all that.
Nice. I guess I've got maybe one other question that I'm curious about, and you're both welcome to speak on it, but maybe Peter, you're better equipped. One thing I notice about the program is that this is a very modern facing program, right? It's focused on soft skills. It's focused on these like very web rich skills, and we've already sort of discussed that a lot of the participants and just unfortunately a lot of the population maybe doesn't have access to this sort of thing. So what I'm wondering is how different is it from the standard education that people would be getting there, and not specifically this program, but all of these programs? Like how new a thing in Kenya is this, and what's the feeling from the people participating? I'm assuming mostly young people, but I mean they're connected to the internet, so I imagine that there's a real hunger for these kind of more globalized, more modern trainings. But I'd love to hear, your perception on that.
Yeah. Currently in Kenya, I'll give a perspective of two things. Generally, we are bureaucratic people. We are people who believes like following that kind of chain of things. So when you're introducing these kind of running, you have to consider two people. We have the youths who are yearning for it, but then, as you know, decisions lies with top level management. So when I go now to the top level management, today, we have other two set of people. When our student goes to the interviews, if they find people who are 40 years plus, these people will need certificate. But then when they go to people who are 40 years and below and they need people to be recruited, they are only basing their research on portfolio. They need a candidate who can prove that I can do a BCD, and that's all. Now with our training, Kenya and generally we know that most of the kind of traditional learning that you have been doing is more theoretical, and you might find a syllabus learning back to 1960s. So you are learning about the Second World War, and now we are thinking about AI and ChatGPT. One thing that our education is very different from others is that we do content that is tailor-made and relevant to the situation or to that program, to the specific program. For instance, we have already reviewed our curriculum for this year. Imagine we had a curriculum last year, and now we felt we as trainers, things are changing very fast. We need another one done, which was done by Jenny, and that's what we are doing for this year. So we are trying to do something that's very relevant to the market and something that's very practical. Apart from that, you find that for us, we even don't have to go the examination way. For us when we were in school, you have to do CAT, continuous assessment tests. You do EdTerm assessment tests. You have to cough some dollars to pay for certifications. But now for us, it's all about project-based. We assess the quality and the effectiveness based on how we assess our student in terms of project. I'll give you an example. We have a curriculum that's already in place, for a course in web design, where the student will be having these technical trainings for 16 weeks continuously. Every week, the curriculum has been tailored in a way that there'll be a project that student will be showcasing. Because what we have realized is that in the industry, we have a lot of people who are certified, but they don't own what they have been certified for. Now for us, if today you are Chris and you need, let's say, a web designer, the kind of student we'll be giving you will not be having the best certificate, that's for sure, I can assure you. But if you need things done, you'll be getting the best candidate. That's what has kept us to be different from the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds to me and I think this is generally true in every market, that we are moving more towards this deliverable based economy, let's say, less concern. I mean, obviously you still need training and proficiency, but and it sounds like, and I think that's a positive thing to see. You're saying that the 40 and under crowd, which is pretty, I'd say, standard almost across the world, are more interested in seeing the what you can produce, the portfolio, the projects that you've output. So I mean, I'm happy to hear that, because I think that's generally a positive trend in economics, in people's ability for upward mobility and everything. Let's focus on what you can do, not
exactly
where a piece of
maybe
paper
to add
came
on
from.
that. Yeah. So yeah, we've actually thought a lot about the accreditation and certification thing in the past month. And, I've tried to source different accreditation bodies here in Kenya, who could potentially accredit our certificates. But then, you always run into this thing that if we go that way, then we have to compromise the quality of our training. Then we may have to train some stuff that's not relevant at all in the job market anymore. But then again, if we don't have the accreditation, then it kind of leaves out some partners such as, say, like ILO, International Labor Organization, and some of the more traditional, potential partner who could have the kind of leverage to scale up our program. But then if we go that way, then we're just going to become another outdated training program, which personally, as long as I'm in power of the program, I will resist, because for us the vision is to stay relevant, to work with the private sector, like understand the demand in the job market and kind of answer to that.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly an honorable mission. I'm happy that you guys are out there doing that. I think just about ready to wrap up, but if you want to tell anyone listening how they can get in touch if they want to support or if they want more information, where do people find out more about the programs and what they can do?
Sure, we'll actually have a fresh webpage out, I think next week. So I don't know, maybe when you release the podcast, can we maybe link the website there?
Absolutely,
for more
send me all the
information.
info. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's also a donate button if if you wish
Yeah.
or wish to go all the way. So yeah, definitely appreciate all the support, and if anyone wants to learn more and ask more, you can connect with us. We can maybe even share our LinkedIn profiles or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
When
And hey,
it's time to share. Yeah.
Hook up the learners too. If you want to like share some of the portfolios or great work of the learners as well, please feel free to get in touch with us, and we're happy to promote all of that through here. So yeah,
that would be fantastic, Peter. Let's take that up. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you both so much for joining, for sharing your insight. And yeah, keep up the good work.